Hi, my friend. It's Pat Sloan here on the last day of February. Today I'm going to give you a little update on the flapjacks. We're going to talk about what I mostly didn't get done on my UFO list. A few other things, including talking about these quilts I do with the 2.5-inch squares, 2-inch finished. But first, let's do the flapjacks. So I have the left side is all sewn, and I did a couple little videos to show you the process while I was working on it the other day. So let's take a look at those. All right, all the flapjack pieces are done. It is Saturday, and I am going to first just put these units all up on the wall, which do not have the verticals. Then I will go back and take the verticals and insert them. After that, I will just look at it, take a picture, probably send a picture to some of my friends and say, do you see anything out of place? Because what I want to do is be sure there aren't two fabrics, the same fabric touching each other, which will create a different shape. Also, just look at the balance of the white so that I don't have like a whole bunch up in one corner or something like that. So here are all of the pieces up, all the verticals are there, nothing is sewn. The 3 strips are not sewn to any of the verticals yet, so I can move everything around really easily. So what I have to do is, the little unit's in the way here, so I can't have that bottom one there. So I might eventually just shove them all up a little bit more so I can view that bottom one. Then I have to decide, there's quite a bit of white, like here's one really good spot where the fabrics are this fern fabric. Let me just scroll in. So see the fern fabric, and that makes like an L right there. So I want to avoid that. I don't want any of those. And I'm also thinking I don't know, is it worth it to make a few more of the gray or just move the whites around? Because there's whites on the horizontal and whites on the vertical. And I think it'll work out. I think it's fine. I'm not going to go ahead. I don't think I'll go ahead and cut any more. But I do need to switch a few things around so something like this isn't happening. And you get a little bit more definition, maybe in a few places. Like right here, which is really close to this, these two fabrics look super similar. So even from a little bit of a distance, they kind of go into looking like one unit. So I will switch those things around. It might just be as easy as taking the two of them and rotating them. So they also have directions. You have to check. There should be, the first row has 2 blacks on the left. Then the second row, the 2 black squares are on the right. So I need to walk through that and be sure that one of them isn't flipped the wrong way. Is it the end of the world if it is? No, but I don't want it to flip the wrong way, so I do want to check it. So that is my next task. Then after that, how I will sew it is, I think, in units. So I will take like half of it and do like the top 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. So that way I have just a little bit smaller chunks to deal with. I like working in those kind of quadrants. After this, the black will be all the way around. I might cut a little yellow inner border and then put the black. I think that might be kind of cool, or a little white inner border and then the black, something like that, but probably the yellow. I definitely think I have some of this yellow right there. So, time to mess around with those layouts. Sometimes that can take a little bit of time, and you don't want to overthink it too much, but also don't rush yourself. Take some photos, share a photo with a friend, because it will just pop out. You can go pop it into my Facebook group along with Pat Sloan, and people will have opinions on what you should move around. Okay, this is the end of looking at it. I do have one thing that I think I'm going to switch. You see here, that one that's kind of light? I've already switched out all the others with that dot. This is the only one left. So I think I'm just going to undo that one and put in this black star, which is what I used in a bunch of other places. Not that you can tell that much from a distance, but you really can. So I think it's ready to sew up. With half of it done now, I feel really good. It'll go pretty quickly. You do have to be really careful as you pick them up and sew them that you are doing them in the order that you wanted. It is very easy to rotate a unit, and that's not always good. So that's why I did it with like just a few at a time. So I'm doing 2 units across, which are 2 of the sections that are sewn. Well, this one's sewn already. 2 sections sewn, and then the vertical strip. So I'll do 1 row, then the second row, then sew those together and get that side done. And I am doing the one that turns out 60 by 70. So this is the version I'm doing. The pattern has a bunch of different sizes. Okay, fun stuff. It's just moving right along. So by Friday, I will definitely have the whole top done, and then I will show some others of your quilts, your flapjacks on Friday, because a bunch of you are really zooming along, because it goes really fast. Okay, let's talk about let's talk about completion projects for February. All right, very little happened for me from this list. Lots of other things I worked on, but not so much this list, which is fine. And I anticipated that. I also very much anticipate March being similar to that. And then in April, I'll knock out some more progress on UFOs. But my UFOs, unfinished objects, pretty much all I did was get, and not even finish it, get the setting for the crumb blocks. And I will do the binding for the coffee panel. So that'll be 2 things off the list. Well, the crumb blocks will go on. So this one will definitely, because what is it? It's the last day of the month. I will do this today. And I'm going to use the stripe binding. There is the little aqua dot, and there's slightly different aqua, and I'm just going for it. I'm like, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And on the purple, I don't even know if I showed you that. Did I show it to you? I have it here. I think I had it up on the wall. I don't know. But here it is with, oops, that's upside down. I know it's upside down because there's some swans, and I want the swans this way. I don't want them upside down. So here is the middle of this. And I did put the little 1-inch purple around it. The purple is my wide back Harmony fabric. And so I will now do all the way around this in squares, I think, because that's what I have, lots of squares. I will go in and probably get pinks and turquoise squares, maybe yellow, get a variety, and do a 2-inch thing of 2-inch squares all around, and then another purple. And back it with purple, of course. Of course, back it with the purple. So that is pretty good. I can sort of set that up, and I'm going to talk about my 2-inch squares here in a second. So that will be kind of in my thought process for them, because I have several things now I'm thinking about with the 2-inch finished squares. Now, if you did not download your March calendar yet, be sure you do that. It tells you what's going on. It tells you what is coming up, because there's 2 pages. Tells you which days the sew-alongs release down here. So this is all good information, and that way you always have it and you know what's happening. You can always go to my sew-along website, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, where there is a page for every sew-along, and even the prior ones, lots of prior ones you can go look at. So when I showed you my green quilt with the 2-inch finished squares, there was a group of you who wrote me and asked me a bunch of different questions. Well, it turns out I actually have a full tutorial on doing this at my website, and I will link that here in the description box under the video at YouTube and over at my website today. So if you're getting my emails, you'll be getting a notice to the article, and I'll have a link there to it. But I thought I'd walk you through it just in a little more personal way on the video today. And I brought the red one out. I have done these, I think I've done 3 full ones, and then I've used them for other things like gifts. I've used them around the Liberty box, so the blue, red, white, and blue one, which I want to do a red, white, and blue all on its own still. So there's the red and white one. So I'll leave it here so you can kind of see it as we're talking. Okay, what I have are, I think 4 of these shoe boxes. That's it. Maybe 5. No, I think it's just 4 now. 4 of these shoe boxes, yeah, with the 2.5-inch squares. Yeah, the other 2, I have 6 shoe boxes altogether. The other 2 have strips for my someday thing from 2021 when I saved all those strips that I didn't put in the crumb blocks. I have 2 shoe boxes of those. So I put these in here by color, but the whole shoebox isn't filled up. So I tend to use a lot of the white up because I'm alternating them with lights. So lights can also be like light gray or light taupe, but I don't want to go into color. I don't want like light yellow to read light in the quilt for this type of square quilt. So I have some lights done, and then like right now I have a big box with a lot of turquoise and some navy and medium blues. So I thought, okay, when I look at this, when I want to do the next one, I want to think about, well, what do I have the most of? Because then I don't have to cut up much. And I have a lot of the teal, the aqua teal colors. Probably, I have 4 stacks. So they're little, where's the whole stack? Yeah, so I have four stacks like this. Now I will definitely have to cut more off whites. I'll have to go through, and I almost always have to do that. I have two bins up there of whites, off whites, and one down on the table that has a lot more pattern stuff on it. So I have things to cut up, and I'm going to use the Quilt to cut the 2.5-inch squares for me. I've got the die that cuts multiples from some of those so that I can get some volume to work on this project. So get a little variety too. I'd like to have a bit of variety. So let me just hold up close for you to see the red and white. So you can see the variety in there. I don't use just plain white. I use all kinds of things. And they can have other colors. Sometimes there's teal or blue, even though this is red. I've got a half square triangle in there. That's good. I try not to have a lot of those because they break up the pattern, but every so often one is fun to have in there. Now, I sew these. A big question was like, what is your approach? And I have that info over on the tutorial as well, but I think I tended in the beginning to start with a 9 patch. But there's a problem when you do that, because you have to focus on the alternating colors. So I have since changed it to doing a 16 patch, because I always start with a light here. So it's light, dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark, light, you know, so that I'm alternating. Then that means every single block like this is identical, because this will touch a dark, this will touch a light, this will touch a dark, this will touch a light. So I put the next block, it's identical to this, they already are alternating. When you just do a 9 patch, which is 3 by 3, let me fold this, then you have to actually physically make some with the coloration the opposite direction. You have to make some with your colorations as dark here and light in the middle. And you have to remember that and set them that way. So I found just doing the 16 patch 4 by 4 solves that problem totally. You just don't have to think about it. I sew them in 2s, so I get lots of 2s done, and then I sew 2s together, and then flip the second row of 4 and sew it to the first row of 4 and build these. I build a bunch of these before I put them up on the wall, and then that way, I'll just get this guy here so you can see. So that way, if I'm putting this here, there's a light, there's a light, there's a dark, there's a dark. So it's already, would be alternating for me. So that is the secret. That's it. Bunch of squares, make some 16 patches, and pretty soon you have a free quilt, because these are just things that you're doing as you're working on other projects. Now I did pull this out and do one aqua one, and then after I made it, I'm like, duh, I want to do some of these in green because I want to put them around the pot of gold panel. Oops. So the pot of gold panel, I am going to put a surround of squares. So I don't have to have that many. I don't know if I would do a 16. I might. I had an idea though for certain wall space, which is between a window and a door. But if I put it in my hallway, it can be a little bigger. So I'm thinking I can go ahead, I might do that. Just go ahead and put it in the hallway space, and I'll put the 16 patches all the way around. So that means I have to get out the greens. And I think I will also use, when you get this panel, it comes with like a print. There's a print, and they're all different for each month, each topic. So this one has beautiful shamrocks, and so I will need to cut up some more lights, or I could go dark greens. That's the other way I could go. I could go dark greens and have this as the light for the 16 patch. So that's what I need to work on next. So let me show you where I am as of this moment that I'm filming on my little shamrock. So I've got the little shamrock going. He's got the shamrocks in the hat for the cross stitch, and I did a thread for the, I tested a thread there for the stem, and I'm thinking it's a little light, so I might need to go darker for the stem. I've got like an olive green, or even maybe I just need to go to a brown, maybe not quite this dark. That's the brown that's around the outside. Maybe I'll use a little lighter brown, but I think I need to test something else there because it's just a straight line, so visually it sort of blends too much into the background. I don't want to lose the stem. So this guy, hopefully by I don't know, maybe the 2nd of March, I will make it up into the little quilt, and then I can go back to the other project for a while. Yes, go back and forth, back and forth. I also was working on those little shoe fly blocks, remember? I now have, I want to get them done because I want to just sort of put them off now till later so that I can work on these other things and of course the new things that we have coming up. So this is like the block a day. So this is 40. Here are 40 little baby shoe flies. Aren't they cute? And I have 2 more to do. No, this is 40. No, this is 43. I'm sorry. This is 43, and I have 2 more to do, and it'll be 45. So I'll have all 45 of those to set somehow, and I want to put them up on the wall and sort of play around and see, you know, what happens. I have an idea of a quarter square triangle between them. I just don't know how that would look. Or put them inside of a star. They would get a little bit bigger if I did that. The quilt would get bigger, so I need to set it up on the wall and see what that looks like. But first this has to come off of the wall, and I have to sew it because I don't dare move it now. It will get all messed up, the order of the things. So a lot of you also saw my picture that I showed you of it just before I got ready to sew. I put it out on my Facebook and Instagram and YouTube community page here and said, okay, I'm asking 250,000 of my closest friends, what should I move around? It was kind of fun. It was all in fun because I actually knew the top row needed switched, and as I went, I switched things to get the color better. And I think now it's pretty much set. But I still had to move a couple things around as I started sewing. I was like, oh, this isn't right, and you know, they're touching, and all those kind of fun things we quilters do, right? When we look at fabric up on the design wall. All right, my friend, the last day of the month. I hope that you enjoy it, that you do something super fun. Tomorrow will be our kickoff of our March block a day using this string bean block. Now some of you might do March block a day with some other block. That's your choice, but I will be doing the string bean with the Tulip Pink fabric, and I'll be sort of talking through how I'm going to approach that for the month so I stay on track. Well, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.